Welcome back to Sawteeth Tactical. Lately, I have been very seriously looking into night vision. I really want to get nods, dual tubes specifically. And with that, of course, then you need a helmet setup, you need a mount for it, you need, a laser aiming module to put on your rifle. There's a large cost that goes into night vision, but it is something that you can kind of get piece by piece until you get there. Although the main cost, the night vision goggles themselves, very, very expensive. And it had me thinking, this whole gun thing, this hobby, this lifestyle, is this just being smartly prepared for what may come? The world is pretty crazy these days. Or is this a progressive addiction? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and I'm going to explain what I'm talking about. So I'm all about being prepared. And the longer I've been into firearms, the more I've wanted to be all around prepared. Not just guns, but just prepared for whatever the world throws at me and my family. But the whole gun thing did kind of get me in that mindset. But the reason why I say that it might be like a progressive addiction is think about someone that has an addiction, like a substance abuse addiction. Well, maybe it just started, when they were younger, having a couple beers with their friends, maybe smoking some weed, and, eventually it progresses to the point where they're strung out on opiates or they're on meth or something, or just such an alcoholic that they cannot function. An addiction is a progressive illness that, starts out innocently enough and becomes something much worse as it goes along. Now, I have said in the past that I do think that this is kind of an addiction, although one that doesn't have such negative consequences. Although there are some social stigmas around guns with people that don't understand it. But those of us that do understand that there's nothing wrong with having a bunch of guns. But it is funny to me. I remember when I first bought my first pistol. I, at the time, had a bunch of money in my savings account. And I was at the gun store. I didn't know enough to know really what I wanted yet. And instead of buying a Glock 19, which was maybe what I should have bought, I bought a Ruger Security 9. And it was a fine pistol. It was a Security 9 Pro, which is the one with better sights and no external safety. Same size as a Glock 19, 4-inch barrel, 15-round capacity. The thing was very reliable, and I, learned to shoot pistol with that gun, and it got me started on this whole path. But I remember being worried about spending $500 on a pistol, and now, as you see behind me, and this isn't even nearly all of them, that one pistol, after a little while, I wanted a better pistol. I bought an M&P 2.0 here. And then I wanted an AR-15. And I remember at the time, I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money on one. And so I bought a Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 2, which is this. And as I've said in other videos, obviously it does not look like an M&P 15 Sport 2 that you buy off the shelf. Because as I've grown in this hobby, I've changed just about everything about this gun. But the point was that I kind of wanted to get the most affordable option that, had a name that I recognized, Smith & Wesson. The next AR I got was a Palmetto State Armory, which is another very affordable option. And then things progressed from there. I got really into 1911s, have had a few different ones. Built my own Glock clones, started building ARs, and my first AR build, that I built from the ground up, stripped receivers, Aero Precision EPC9, which, a 9mm PCC isn't necessarily cheap, but compared to my most recent build, each one progressed in cost and what I put into it. I mean, this is the first AR that I built. Then I built this 300 Blackout. Most recently, I built this, which is over $4,000. By the time I get the suppressor, it'll be a $5,000 gun. And then I went back and changed a bunch of stuff on my 300 blackout because, again, as I've gotten into this, I've realized that I like nicer and nicer things. I don't know about you guys, but I've had my bank account hacked 3 times just in the last year. I get spam calls all the time. I've had to get new debit cards because it's been such a problem. And that's why I am partnering with Aura. I'm pretty careful about not putting my information out there, but I Googled my email address and there was still tons of stuff about me. Luckily, a lot of it was Sawtooth Tactical. Data brokers literally have all of your information, your full name, your email, your home address, and those of your family, and they sell them to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who might want to target you. That's why I'm using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are using my information and selling it, and automatically submits opt-out requests on my behalf. Check out how many data brokers Aura found that were selling my information. Cleaning up my information helps reduce the amount of spam phone calls and stuff like that I get, and it also protects me from hackers that could use this information to access my social media, bank accounts, or other sensitive information. And Aura does so much more to protect me and my family from threats that I can't even see. Aura is very easy to set up. I don't have to download several different apps for things like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more. I can get it all in one place for one affordable price. You might already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like locking the front door, but leaving the back door wide open. Aura is always on, doing the hard work so that I can focus on other things like building this YouTube channel or whatever else that I want to deal with instead of protecting my own personal privacy. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to aura.com/sawtooth-tactical to get your own 2-week free trial. I'll have a link down below in the description. And that's kind of where I'm getting to at this point. So now I am getting suppressors for everything. I've got 2 suppressors waiting in, ATF jail right now. An Otter Creek Labs Polonium K that I'm going to use for my 5.56 guns. And Whip Machine and Tool sent me their Mod 1 9mm suppressor for my PCC. And so now I feel like I've gotten to the point where I have most of my general use cases covered for firearms. Now, I don't have a shotgun, but I don't bird hunt anymore. I just haven't in a really long time. I've got a kid. It's been hard to find time to do things like that. And I think that there are better options for home defense, like this 300 Blackout or even this AR-9. And I also don't really have a true long range gun. But for the type of shooting that I do, even this, with a 1-6 LPVO, I can stretch it out to a few hundred yards with no real problem. And so, like I said, I feel like most of my use cases are basically covered at this point. Now, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of new guns that I would love to get. I've always wanted an MP5. There are, a SIG P226, a CZ Shadow 2. I'd really like to get a Krink, a really short AK. There are things that I definitely want, and that's kind of the point of this addiction. At some point, I'm sure I will spend the money on those things. But right now, what I'm trying to do is to upgrade the ones that I currently have, make them to where I think they need to be. And so this is the one I'm working on currently. It just got the light that was on my 300 Blackout, which I replaced with a $500 mod light setup. But now it's got a decent light on here at least. Streamlight ProTech HLX. And this thing's SBR'd. I got the grip that I like on it, and it's waiting for a suppressor now. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And once I get all these suppressors, and there are more suppressors that I want, of course, I want to get night vision. I really want to get into night vision. And this is where I'm talking about it being possibly a progressive addiction from almost not being willing to spend $500 on a handgun to now looking at spending $5,000+ on night vision. Now, night vision is one of those things like guns, but much more expensive, where it's hard to know where to start. So right now, if you are into night vision, you might be aware of this, but there's something called the iRay Jerry 31 that comes from China. It's a Chinese binocular night vision. Now, generally, the cheapest way that you can get into real night vision, and I'm not talking about digital night vision, but real analog night vision, is like a single tube PVS 14. But even that, for a decent one, you're looking at about $3,000, and that's not including a helmet or a mount or anything else like that for it. To get into binocular night vision, you're looking at $8,000 to $10,000 just for the goggles themselves, just for the night vision device. And then again, all those other costs that I mentioned. Well, the Jerry 31 comes in at under $4,000. Now, if you know anything about night vision, it's a Gen 2, whereas now we're into Gen 3 is like the night vision that you really want to get. And so I'm trying to make a decision for myself. Now, I don't even have enough money currently, at least enough disposable money, disposable income to spend on the Jerry 31s even. But it is very attractive to be able to get a binocular night vision setup for around $4,000 instead of closer to $10,000, especially for my first night vision device. And I'm trying to make that decision. Do I spend $4,000, which $4,000 is not a small amount of money really. It's a way bigger amount than $500 on a first pistol. Do I spend $4,000 and then am I going to be bummed that I bought, the cheapest thing on the market as far as binocular night vision? Or do I try to get to the point where I've got $8,000, $9,000 saved up and get into, something more expensive, higher FOM, better signal to noise ratio, things like that. Now, there are channels on YouTube that are specifically dedicated to night vision, and I've been studying them closely lately. And a lot of them have done reviews on the iRay Jerry 31, and they're mostly very positive reviews. Now, people, are honest about, understand what you're getting into, and don't expect Gen 3 2600 FOM quality in a Gen 2 night vision setup. And I get that. But I also think no night vision, or any night vision, is better than no night vision. But a big thing that I've learned with firearms especially is buy once, cry once. And so I have a question for you guys in the comments. Anyone that has night vision and really understands it, and maybe if you've done any research into these Jerry 31s, because they do seem to be very popular these days. I see them advertised at just about every night vision distributor. They have them in stock and they seem to be selling like crazy. And they do have a lot of really good reviews. Although, again, physics are physics. They're not going to be as good as a $9,000 night vision setup. But with the way things are going in the world these days, does it make sense to spend the $4,000? And then, again, like I said, plus helmet, plus mount, laser aiming module to go on your rifle, all these other things, you're going to tack onto that and it's going to add up even more. And those are not cheap things either. And have a night vision setup that is usable, or wait what may take a very long time to save up for a more expensive night vision setup. I'm not in special forces. I'm not military. I'm not law enforcement. This is going to be something that I'm going to go run around in the desert shooting and have fun with. And hopefully nothing ever happens where I need them. But if it does, then I'm prepared for that kind of situation. I do believe in having a very high quality, reliable rifle, high quality, reliable handguns. And so I think having a night vision setup is kind of the next step in the addiction. But what do you guys think? Do you guys just think that I need to start doing a 12-step program and that I'm ridiculous for wanting to get into night vision? Or do you guys have night vision and think it's ridiculous to not? I would love to hear from you guys in the comments on this, because this is something I've very seriously been looking at lately, and I would love to be able to bring some night vision content to the channel. Just got to find a way to be able to afford it. But I'm working hard in many ways, this being one of them. If you do want to support the channel and make the night vision dream become a reality and something that I can put on the channel here, well, the best way to do that is just sign up for Aura, the first link in the description. It is a service that I use personally that has made a big difference actually in my life in the last few months since I started using it. I don't get spam calls anymore. I'm not worried about my bank account getting hacked anymore. It's very nice. But otherwise, if you just subscribe, like, share, leave comments, all that stuff helps the algorithm, helps get these videos to more people, and of course, is greatly appreciated. From Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.